I work at a museum in a large U.S. city doing interpretation. One of our tasks, which we all rotate through, is checking tickets at the front desk and letting people know where they can leave their bags, etc. Yesterday, during a rush period, I looked up from helping some folks and noticed that a group had just gone through the entrance to the exhibit area without showing their tickets. I stopped them politely and saw the tickets in question, and also noticed that the mother had a small dog on a leash. No service dog vest or anything. I asked her if it was a service dog, and she said no. At which point I told her that I was very sorry, but we only allowed service animals in the museum. She looked confused and said, "What if I carry him?" "No, I'm afraid he can't go in," I replied, beginning to genuinely wonder if this woman had been living her apparent 40 or 50-something years up to this point under a rock. What museum allows pets in the galleries? She huffed a bit and then started grumbling. Keep in mind, the entrance area was very busy this whole time. About how 90% of those service dog vests are fake, and they were trying to be honest and do the right thing. Not sure how she expected that to work for her. We appreciate the honesty, but you don't get dog entry points for not lying. Eventually, she took the dog outside while her kid went through the museum, then came back in, and once again tried to enter the museum with her dog. When I called her, she asked if she could sit on a bench in the waiting area outside the galleries holding him. Since we are more lenient about pets where there are no fragile objects, I agreed. She then proceeded to intermittently watch loud YouTube videos on her phone until her son was finished, at which point they left. TLDR. Grown woman baffled and upset that a museum wouldn't let her walk her pet dog through the galleries on a leash or bend the rules because she didn't lie about him being a service animal. Edit to clarify. I love dogs. I'm the person who will interrupt conversations with friends to point out a cute pup walking past. But time and place, lady. Was I wrong? So, I was working my very first job. And it was the 90s, before the term Karen got its slang meaning. But the behavior is still the same. I was a teenager, doing janitorial work at a local deli. It was winter, or as wintry as the city I used to live in got. Mostly, it was a lot of wind. In fact, on this day, it was in excess of 40 mph. But I still needed to go out and sweep. I still can hardly believe that in 40 mph wind, people will still sit outside to eat. Some are unfazed and others just hate it the whole time, but persist for some reason. It's beyond me. Dirt and trash is blowing around. The sweeping was mostly grabbing trash that gets caught and to dust away dirt that piled up in random spots. And tables still need to be whipped down regularly. So, I was on my third sweep of the outdoor eating arraya, and some guy in business clothes that were wildly flapping in the wind was outside trying to have lunch. It kinda looked like he was summoning some mysterious power or something dramatic like that. As I made my way past his table, he pointed into the wind and shrieked, "Where is that wind coming from?" I looked down the street and pointed in the same direction, then asked, "You see that giant fan?" There actually turned out to be a tall antenna with one of those drum things on it in that direction. In surprise, he yelled, "What?" I think he may have actually believed me for just a moment. Then he scowled and angry repeated his question. I can't remember the words I used, but I gave him the textbook definition of wind that is memorized in earth science class. "Don't get smart with me," he yelled back. After he told me not to get smart with him, I just said, "Okay, so the wind is actually coming from that giant fan over there. We pay a fee to the city for it." As I walked off, the guy yelled, "Why would you do such a thing? I'm gonna complain about this." For kicks, I told my boss about it right after. He just laughed like he'd heard it before and said he's heard that one since he was my age, doing my job when his dad was still running the business. Was I wrong? So we've just got a new Karen next door this week. as we found out at about 7 a.m. this morning when she came storming up our driveway with the fury of 1,000 middle-class white women. In our neighborhood, most of the properties are subdivided, and Karen has moved into the house at the bottom of the property next to ours, and she has complaints for our manager, my mom. The tenants at the house at the bottom of the driveway have backed their car onto her property on one occasion while getting the car out. Okay, so tell them. The tradesman restoring the shed behind the bottom house also backed onto her property. Again, we don't have control over where he drives. We can tell him if we see him, but so can you, Karen. The neighbors on the other side of her property from us have also backed onto her property. Lady, we don't even know them. Why are you complaining to us? Additionally, she has informed us that our driveway extends 1 mem onto her property and that a tree that is in the middle of our yard in also on her property, and she is having it removed, and that the driveway has to be ripped up. When she was presented with the land surveys from 1993, she started informing us that the property lines changed when the previous owner sold the house to us. My great-grandmother purchased the land we are on in 1913. It was the first lot of land sold in the suburb. Our family have lived here continuously for 110 years. The property has never been sold. The lines of the property have never changed. If you are going to lie, Karen, learn who you are lying to first. Minor update. Everything has been pretty quiet the last few days. Just installed a spiffy new camera pointed down the driveway at the tree in question, and we've got a plethora of signed legal documents, any of the work the handyman is doing at the moment, to verify it's all above board and approved, so she can't do anything. Currently looking into local tree law to ensure the tree is more protected, and otherwise Wish is going to be getting a big order for Claymore gnomes. I recently sold a used notebook on eBay classifieds, similar to Craigslist. It was a pretty old Acer notebook I used during uni and had 8 years on its back. It's still perfectly fine to consume media on, or just use it for personal work. I even replaced the battery so it would actually hold a charge for more than 30 minutes and replaced the HDD with an SSD so it boots fast enough to be usable. The ad was very clear in the fact that it is used and does not come with a Windows key, since I always used Linux on it, so I installed a fresh copy of Linux Mint on it and also noted that fact in the ad. I got a few messages with people wanting it for less than the new battery was worth, so I was delighted to get a message from a lady that needed a notebook for browsing and maybe doing some spreadsheet text work. I told her that I would install LibreOffice for her, which is fine for most use cases, and then send it over as soon as I received payment. She paid and I sent it. After 2 weeks, she messaged me that it doesn't turn on and wanted a refund. I told her to send it back and I would refund her the money. After receiving it, it would turn on easily and would give me a Win7 login screen with her account. I texted her that it works and has been used by her, so I will send it back again for reimbursement for the shipping. She demanded I delete her data and refund me, so I circumvented the login screen and took a look at her stuff. She had Vacation Picturus on there. She took the thing onto a vacation, used it, and then just sent it back. After confronting her with all of this, she blocked me without getting the money back and tried to claim the money back instead with her bank. But since I could show all the receipts for shipping and successful delivery when my bank contacted me, they denied the claim and I haven't heard from her since. So I have 80 euro and a working laptop to sell. Screw you, Karen. I obviously deleted all her data by cleaning the drive with an eraser tool after this was over. I may be a Kai cat, but I am not a criminal. Was I wrong? My friend Shelby has twin daughters, 6 years old, with her husband Roger of 9 years. Shelby inherited a vacation home in California near Napa Valley from her parents after they passed away. Her parents bought the house when Shelby was 12, and they spent a lot of time there. It is a large home with several acres of land as part of the property. Shelby renovated it with her parents to bring it up to date before they passed. Shelby and Roger have hosted family gatherings there in the past and even got married there. Roger's sister, Ashley, wants to have her son's first birthday party at the house and fully expects her brother to comply. Apparently, Shelby is not a factor at all, despite it being her family's home. Ashley also wants her son to share in the inheritance of the house, considering her own husband's family is not as well off. They still are very comfortable, however. Ashley has big plans for the house, including a top-down remodel. Roger and Shelby believe that Ashley thinks that the house is in Roger's name as well, since they got married, and that means the house can be passed down their own family. Shelby and Roger kept the house in Shelby's name solely, and their twins have her surname because they didn't want his family to pull any stunts like this. And of course, Ashley's son has his father's last name because that would be crazy for the woman to give hers. Roger told Ashley no, and she is now throwing a tantrum over it. She is also struggling to find a venue because she didn't plan on being denied. Apparently, Ashley's Miles backyard garden isn't perfect enough for her precious baby boy. The boy part is very important, apparently. Shelby and Roger decided to move to the vacation house in case Ashley decides to still go through with her original plan. Also to get some alone time because they are exhausted. The twins will stay at Shelby's friend's house for a week before joining them.